It's completely doable. If you want to get ahead of 99% of people, then in reality, all you need to do is the stuff that the other 99% of people are not willing to do. Take my example. I grew up in a poor village in China. I was one of the first girls in my school to go to college, then the first person in my entire family to graduate from a college. Later, moved to United States, and I built a new life. I went from nothing to becoming a self-made millionaire. In many ways, I lived the American dream, and I experienced firsthand how it is possible to get ahead of 99% of people. While the truth is that most successful people don't spend their time comparing themselves to others, and instead focus on comparing themselves to who they were yesterday. The point of helping you get ahead of 99% of people isn't just to beat other people. It's to help people who are trying to change their lives. So in this video, my focus is to help you move from a place where you might feel stuck to truly being ahead of 99% of people and being completely fulfilled in the work that you are doing. When I think about the biggest reason people succeed or struggle, it's not just hard work or good goal setting, but what really separates people is making the right decisions at the right time. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this. When you bought a house, the market went up. When you joined a startup, the startup took off. But when I did the same thing, I lost money. My startup failed. And honestly, it's not just luck. It's decision making. It's timing. It's being willing to move when others hesitate. Because if you make the wrong decisions, if you are dragging your feet, you're not standing still. You're moving sideways or even backwards. I've seen friends and family members spend so much time agonizing over tiny decisions. What brand of car to buy, what firm to upgrade to. But when it comes to decisions that really change their entire life, like what to study, what career to pursue, they either rush or they freeze. And then they spend 5-6 years of life, thousands of dollars in tuitions and training, only to realize within 1 year, this isn't what I wanted. And it breaks my heart because it's not just about working hard, it's about making sure your hard work is pointed in the right direction. But it's easy to say, make good decisions, right? The real question is how. For me, good decision making comes from two things. First, you have to know about yourself. Second, you have to understand how the world works. So where is the society moving? What industries are growing? What skill sets are becoming more valuable? What trends are rising and which ones are dying? In Chinese, we have a famous saying from the Art of War by Sun Tzu said, 知己知彼,百战百胜. What it means is if you know yourself and you know your opponent, you will win every battle. That's very critical for you to get basic understanding of yourself and your world. Another one I really like is that a single grain of sand from your times can feel like a mountain crushing you to an individual. Even tiny problems will feel overwhelming to yourself individually. But if you're moving with the wave, if you are riding the right trends, the right energy, the time itself will push you forward. For example, with AI becoming an inevitable force and the future of our world, there's so many people still afraid of AI and hesitant to adopt it. If you can't fight it, just join it. That's why I always tell people, like, don't just fight harder. The heck, don't fight at all. Let the world push you forward. Position yourself where the world is already moving and then run with it. After the decision-making point, which is the most important skills you can have, second one is the way to continuously gather information so you can make the wise decisions supported by the information you gathered. So this really connects to the last point. You know yourself, you know how the world works, but how do you actually make your decisions? This process of making good decisions with information is similar to business. Before you start a company, you don't just guess if there's a market. You do research, you gather data. In the market research, you do two things. One is secondary research. You read information that's already out there, news, experts, seeing what's happening in the world. The second important part is doing your primary research. Test out your ideas yourself. For example, is that career path really as good as it sounds? Is that city really the right place for you to move to? Is that hot industry actually a good fit for your strength? And the only way to find out is actually by gathering real information. I will give you another example. Back in 2019, most of the US world doesn't even know COVID is. At that time, I was pregnant and still very active in the business world. Because I'm constantly keeping a global view of what's happening in the world, outside the US, in China, around the world, I started seeing early signs that something wasn't right. COVID hasn't made headlines deadlines, but if you are paying close attention, the signals were there. At that time, my company was planning a big executive meeting, and everyone would be flying into one location. Normally, it had been a great event, but I had this gut feeling like based on the information I was gathering, it wasn't safe. So I started digging deeper. I called people in China, I talked to friends in the US, I even tried to understand the culture known. Like I shared the evidence I have gathered, I calmly explained my concern to the leadership, and thankfully the CEO listened. They made the decision to cancel the meeting at the last minute. So a few days later, we found out that one of the engineers already had COVID. If that meeting had already happened, the entire company would have been exposed. And as a pregnant woman at high risk, I would have faced serious, life-threatening consequences. So that experience reminded me that it's not about being paranoid, it's about being informed and take action on the information you gathered. And just to be clear, it wasn't just gut feeling. After business school, I learned to be very careful about that. Whether I have an instant or early concern, I don't act immediately. I gather data. I test my feelings against facts, try to prove it or disapprove it, because gut feeling can sometimes be very wrong. But if you combine your intuition with real world evidence, then you can make decisions that are both fast and smart. That habit of checking my instincts against the data has saved me more times than I can count. So now you know how to make good decisions. That already puts you way ahead. But there's something else you need, something a lot of people overlook. You need mental strength. You need ability to keep going even when things don't go your way, because setbacks and failures are part of the deal. They're not special. They're not a sign that something is wrong. They're just part of the menu. So if you can train yourself to treat setbacks as normal, to learn from them, you'll find yourself getting stronger without even realizing it. And then there's one more thing, your personal health. I always think about it like this. Everything you build in your career, your success, your money, your achievements, they are all zeros, 5 zeros, 10 zeros. But your health, that is the number one in front of all the zeros. Without that one, all those zeros still add up to zero. If you don't have your health, you won't have the energy to take action. You won't have the mental strength to bounce back from setbacks. You won't even be able to enjoy the success you worked so hard for. So here's the tough truth. If you don't take care of yourself, all the money you make is just going to your wife's future husband or your husband's future wife. Not trying to scare you, but just being real. Being healthy isn't a nice to have. It's a basic human right. Do everything in your power to protect it. Sleep well, move your body, eat real food, stay positive. Because without health, nothing else matters. There's one last piece most people don't talk about enough, the people around you. Because even if you make good decisions, working hard, staying healthy, if you are surrounded by negative, small-minded, or fearful people, it can drag you down without you even realizing it. And I want to say something important here. You don't always get to choose where you start. You don't get to choose your family. Sometimes the people closest to you, the ones who love you, might still give you bad advice. They might tell you, don't do this, don't do that. Not because they're bad people, but because they're scared, they're ill-informed, because they don't know any better. Growing up, I faced that. I came from a small village. Most of the adults around me had never seen the outside world. Could they know what was possible? And I realized that early on. I couldn't trust them to decide my future for me. So I listened politely. And then I made my own decisions. Because sometimes you have to protect your dreams, even from the people who love you. It's not about cutting people off completely. It's about creating the right distance. If certain people drain your energy, make you doubt yourself, or bring out the worst version of you, give yourself permission to step back. And at the same time, build your real circle. Find friends who lift you up. Find mentors who inspire you. Find people who believe in your growth, who you can support in return. It's one of the hardest lessons I've learned. It's also one of the most important. So if you have all these 5 things, I'd like to call it the diamond framework. D for decision making, I for information gathering, M for mental strength, E for energy, not just emotional energy, but your physical health, your sleep, your movement, your diet, and N for network, the people who lift you up and challenge you to grow. If you build your diamond, you have a foundation stronger than almost anything life throws at you. That's exactly how I did it. I started with nothing, no money, no connection, just a dream to escape the life of working in a poor Chinese factory, and the belief that maybe if I work hard enough and smart enough, I could change my future. So if you want to learn all my best advice from building myself from zero to self-made millionaire or building the companies I've already built, click here to go watch my video where I go over my last 15 years of knowledge and experience in building startups and hand you the most valuable things I learned through that. Thank you for watching. Good luck on your journey, and I'll see you over there.